Yeah, good evening, Scott, and to all the viewers tuning in to watch the IMSA race tonight. Yeah, as you say, a lot of participation. I think we had 65 drivers in total, split across two servers tonight. So great turnout for all the drivers. Yeah, definitely some very quick times. As you say, going out there, looks like we have Anito Torrio just jumping into provisional pole 2 in the GTE category as well. So only 500ths of a second quicker than Carl Jensen there. So a very quick time for him out on track tonight. And looks like BMW looking very, very strong. Currently top 3 cars taking out the first 3 spots in that GTE category. GT3 look very strongly dominated tonight as well by Mercedes. Probably a track well suited for that car. Maybe a little bit awkward with the Audi, but good to see a few guys still taking that car out and giving it a good run tonight. Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're going to find tonight with all 3 classes, the field's going to be very, very tightly compressed. Even with what we're seeing in the Daytona prototypes as well, only half a second separating both Simon and Masahito. So not too far apart for those 2 cars as well, with Sebastian Texia yet to set a lap in his prototype. But the other 2 classes, the GT3s and GTEs, are going to be very, very closely fought tonight. And I think, judging from what we've seen with the way this circuit rides, there's going to be a lot of great passing opportunities for the drivers tonight, especially down through the Castrol S turn 1, and then maybe trying to set a move up as they exit out through Mercedes. And then after they get down past the Schumacher S's and down through turn 12s and 13, having a really long run up into the quick chicane that they're using with the WEC configuration tonight. It's a very strong field tonight. We'll just jump up now with the Daytona prototypes as they make their way through the final couple of corners here. And looks like all the field, all three classes separated very nicely out on track tonight. And we should get quite a good start here as Simon brings the Daytona prototypes across the line to start this race.
Go, 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 green flag.
Yeah, it looks like with the exclusion of that little bit of a spin that that you mentioned earlier on the start there, it looks like everyone's got away quite nicely for the start of this race. The Daytona prototypes didn't really have much of an issue, but the GTE and GT3 categories both putting on a pretty good show as we see Nazi getting a bit of a good run, but we'll drop back here with Pavlov in a good little fight on the outside in the Mercedes. Looks like he should get that move done up through the Schumacher S as well with a bit of a hip and shoulder for those two cars. Yeah, it was a great move by Torres up the inside, just managing to hold out Pavlov there. And as you say, there's a little bit of contact as the guys went through that chicane, but no major issues there. We've got up here Texia just on the back here of Saito, and these two are fighting for second and third in the Daytona prototypes at the moment. But they are letting Simon Mazzomo get a bit away from this group. 2.7 second gap at the moment as well for Mazzomo. Yeah, definitely. He's pretty quick with the car. He seems to be able to get it set up quite nicely. And as you say, that gap going on quite comfortably. Good battle here in the GTE class with Cora, and I think there's that Vanderbilt there having a good little scrap here for first, second, third, and another couple of cars towing in as well. So we're going to have 5 in this little battle.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just see that my mic was having some technical issues there, so thanks very much to Joel for that, pointing that out. But yeah, we've got Sipler pretty much defending from Benefield at the moment. Gap at the moment is 4/10 of a second as they're coming through the final corner to start lap number 3.
Yeah, it's good to see Benefield not really losing touch with this in the Ferrari. We thought earlier on with the end of qualifying that it might be a heavily BMW favoured circuit, but good to have the likes of Ferrari up in that battle, and not too far behind there. We've also got Loic Hartog in the Porsche as well, so looks good to see all 3 manufacturers up inside the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, certainly. As yeah, just looking for some little battles further back. We've got to see Michael Goth trying to put some pressure on Hensel. We see that he's fallen back from Mattia Villa. Some heavy scrapping going on there, so this is certainly costing them time. But having said that though, Goth is able to get that Porsche up into the 10th place in class.
Yeah, and I think Hensel and Marinsky are going to have a good little scrap here as well, just behind Goth. So they're fighting over 14th and 15th at the moment. And I think we might have just seen a change of position with Marinsky getting up. So he's up 10 spots from his starting spot now in 14th overall and 11th in class. So good move up with only a couple of laps on the board so far from Marinsky.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly out of position from Marinsky. Still maybe 1 to 1.2 seconds off the leader's pace, but as you say, in heavy traffic at the moment, we'll see what his pace is like towards the end of the race. But yeah, about a 10th of a second on Goth, trying to go up the inside, and it looks as though that he'll get the position as he's got the overrun. And he'll move up into, that'll be the 10th position in class, so he's up 11 now. Medieval also up 11 from his starting position as well.
Yeah, so a couple of guys that maybe not have the best qualifying still being able to get those passes done, which is good to see. And looks like still a lot of room being given to get these moves off, not making them the easiest, but not having the issues of cars running into each other, which is good to see.
Yeah, certainly. Just going to have a quick look back at our GT3 battle as well. See that Pavlov has pretty much trying to stay with Xanders at the moment. This looks like a 6-car battle at the moment is opening up just a little bit, but with Torres in the Audi gapping Xanders at the moment, so that's pretty much what is it, 4 Mercedes and then the next Audi of De Potter as well. So, but also Swainpole's in there as well. A further second back from De Potter as they're coming through the second sector right now.
Yeah, and both the Potter and Settler both looking pretty consistent on lap pace as well, both in the 155s last time by, and see a little bit of a light flash there just from Landis, just letting him know he still wants to get that pass done as they work their way out of the Dunlop hairpin there up towards the Schumacher S's. So he's trying to just play a few mind games with the lights.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going to bring up our GT lead battle at the moment. It's got Carl Janssen opening up a little bit of a gap actually to Antti Terho. Gap at the moment is just sitting around a second at the moment. See if we can go on to the gearbox cam of Carl Janssen just to see what that gap looks like at the moment. But yeah, those two Vandervelde cars still not letting Carl go by any means, but looks as though that he's been able to open up about 2 tenths this within this half of a lap as well. So Carl's certainly putting the hammer down for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And just watching off that the shot we got at the moment, you can see that both cars seem to be able to tuck the nose in pretty nicely down into the corner, so not a lot of understeer, which you would expect early on in this race. It is 45 minutes for those who aren't familiar with the series, so so far all cars seem to be working pretty well, but we'll have to keep an eye just to see how that goes, especially with the pace that they're running at the moment. Last time by for Carl was a 148.7 versus a 149.1 for Tero.
Yeah, just going to bring up the weather as well. For tonight's race, we've got a 6 km/h wind with heading in a southwesterly direction, 18 degrees ambient with a humidity of 34%, track temperature of 35 degrees. So I'd say a relatively hot track temp out there given the ambient conditions, but still certainly not as hot as we've seen in previous weeks at say Watkins Glen, which was incidentally last week with the 6 hours of Glen happening over the week as well, which I'm sure many teams participated in.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that was a big one we did notice with one of our other broadcasts that we do for Sim Races Asia. As a result of the 6 hour being on, it was quite a low participation. I think, being those sort of iRacing special events, you do get a lot of interest from all the community wanting to get in and put a good foot forward. So good to see that the guys are still being able to continue. It looks like Carl's got himself a little bit of lap traffic there just in front of him with a Mercedes that he'll just need to navigate his way through, which shouldn't be too bad given the speed of that BMW at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Just giving a bit of a headlight flash at the moment, but bit of a was that the 888 livery, that Vodafone Mercedes, if I'm not mistaken, represented in about this 12-hour overuse gone by. But yeah, just gonna have a look.
Yeah, it looks very reminiscent.
Yeah, absolutely. Just gonna have a look a little bit further back at GTE battle at the moment. Very, very close between Mazzeo Villa, Keller, McLeod, and Marinsky as well. So Marinsky's certainly on the charge. But yeah, Mazzeo Villa putting in a fantastic defense at the moment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably one car out of this train that we're not used to seeing a little further down would be Mitch McLeod, currently in 7th. We know him from his V8 exploits, but good to see him getting out into the GTE class just ahead of this little group at the moment, but seems to be a little further back than what we'd seen earlier on with Hartog in the Porsche there. So little spin too, so that's going to help spread these guys out a little more as they're now 3 wide down the front straight.
Yeah, it looks as though that Mazzeo Villa was trying to force the issue, and was just going to allow Marinsky up the inside as well, but Keller's going to have to try and maintain position, but Mazzeo Villa getting past, but Marinsky trying to go around the outside as well. They're not going to be able to do it. Go for the over-under, but yeah, certainly not up the inside. Just had a clarification as well that Toho and Cipolla are from Glacier Racing and not from Vandervelde, as I indicated earlier. Just their liveries happen to be very, very similar, so apologies to those drivers. But it looks as though the Marinsky's jumped through past Keller now and up into 12th overall, 9th in class.
Yeah, that was a good move and able to get a good defend on there and retain that position. So he'll turn his sights forward now. So he's got Medella up ahead of him in the BMW, and then Mitch McLeod. So a few cars for him to get up ahead. Now puts him currently up 12 positions on his starting spot as well. So we just keep an eye on that. Mitch McLeod going to come up on the back of that AMG that we spoke of just a second ago, and himself and Mediva's just having a little bit of a contact there as they were trying to get their way around.
Yeah, kind of caught Matteo Villa out just a little bit with that GT3 traffic. McLeod having to slow up just that little bit. But thankfully they were able to get through that traffic without too much damage. But yeah, McLeod runs wide and that'll open the door for Matteo Villa. Marinsky's going to try and open the door as well, but sadly not able to get through as we see Keller into the pits. It's a little bit early, but I would say that certainly probably the earliest you would want to go, given that the trends that we've seen in the pit stop strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most of the races that we've watched, especially last season, were anywhere from about 20 to 25 minutes duration before the guys even considered really coming in for stops. So it's very early on, and will be interesting to see how the tyres fade, or whether the tyres do fade later on in the race as a result of that.
Yeah, we'll certainly keep an eye out on the weather. I'll be able to bring that up later in the race to see how it's changed, but I think the sim time was roughly about 15 hours 26. Oh, so yeah, sorry, 1500 hours and 26 minutes. So certainly late in the afternoon sim time, but as I say, we'll try and monitor those track changes. But looks as though that Matteo Villa pretty much getting hounded by McLeod and Marinsky. at the moment.
Yeah. Last time by too, a little unorthodox for McLeod to run wide in that final corner, but he hasn't let go of Mediavilla and should get a move done. But he's going to have a pretty hard charging Marinsky up the back as he does throw the nose up the inside. Might not have the legs there to get that job done, but certainly showing that he does want to make a move.
Oh, McLeod.
Actually, as we say that, he made contact.
Oh, and that might have put McLeod.
Wow, do you guys not have brake pedals? Or?
That might have been the incident limit for McLeod, as he's been disqualified, potentially. So we'll just have to wait and see whether he reconnects or is disqualified. It looks as though he's falling down the timing screens, but yeah, it's certainly unfortunate for McLeod. And Marinsky's up into 11th place overall, 8th in class. Currently up 13 positions along with Mediavilla.
Yeah, I wasn't able to see whether Mitch, how many points he had. I think going off what we can see on the timer, it looks like he only had 10 incident points at the moment, but yeah, he certainly fell a long way down as well.
Yeah, sadly with our timing screens it doesn't factor in car contacts or anything like that. It only goes on the GPS coordinates of the cars, so it only really takes into account off tracks. So sadly we don't get a true representation of what incident count the drivers are on at the moment. But yeah, I'm just going to go to another battle here with DePotter, Pavlov and Stelter.
Yeah, there's a good little fight here. Three Mercedes and an Audi in the battle here. DePotter coming under all sorts of pressure at the moment from Settler behind him, and Pavlov just ahead. Going to have to be very defensive just to make sure he doesn't make a mistake and let the...
Yeah, certainly we've got still 3 Mercedes in this little battle pack and 1 Audi. Still great to see the Audi represented, as always. Typically see more Mercedes, but yeah, that V10 engine's certainly one to hear if you're able to get to a Blancpain GT or GT3 category race, as I have been multiple times.
Yeah, well, it's certainly a bit of a favourite for yourself and I. I had some great success in it and certainly love seeing that car, and it is nice that we do see it taking on the likes of the Mercedes out on track. But we've got another Audi just up ahead of this little group, which is that a lap down car, I believe it is. And it's going to really throw the door open as DePotter spins the Audi on the front straight.
Yeah, that was the Audi of James Clayton getting put a lap down on these guys here. So sadly potentially some technical issues for Clayton that's made him a lap down from these guys as well. But having said that though, this battle pack has opened up quite a bit actually. Zanders and Pavlov are still 0.6 of a second apart. Stelter is a further second back, potentially recovering from those little issues that I think that was the Potter had at the final corner. But yeah, at the moment this is the closest battle on track, apart from Mediv.
Yeah.
Oh, as I say that.
I think we may need to keep an eye too later on in the race with that Mercedes to see how that turns in. It looked a little unsettled through Mercedes Arena, so it could be starting to get some tyre issues on that car already.
Yeah, I'm just going to see what happened to Mediavilla. See whether we can bring that up quickly. Apologies for that, but seems as though that I'm not able to bring that up, sadly. But it looks as though that Mediavilla may have been another victim of the incident cap, as he's sadly not moving. On our timing screens, not increasing in number of laps counted, so it looks as though that he's another victim of the incident cap. So
Yeah, I would think so. Just looking through some of the retirements we had so far, we had Mitch McLeod, Medavilla, as you say. Looks like Diego Carbellon and Mattia Kidoshki as well, both all disconnected.
Yeah, also we see that Louis Delatraz, Milos Ivanovic, and Alexei Seleznev have not really gotten going as well. Delatraz only completed 2 laps, and Ivanovic and Seleznev must have been involved in that contact at the very, very start that we missed. But having said that though, Marinsky's putting a lap on one of those Audis that must have been number 33 car of Max Boll.
Yeah, the Marinsky BMW looking very, very good out there tonight. There's it's just that Audi in the background getting a lap put on him by a Porsche as well. So not looking too bad. There's potential for a little bit of a battle starting up in 15th and 16th outright. And just drop back here to Settler and Zanders. They're still going at it in the AMG Mercedes.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very close between Stelter and Zanders. Stelter was able to gain a quarter of a second last lap on Zanders. 56.2 for Zanders last time around, comparing that to Stelter on a 55.8. So was it 3.5 tenths? Sorry, apologies for that. But it looks as though that Stelter must have had a bit of a bad exit out of the right-hander sweeper there that brought him onto the short straight there before the kink, and that gap has actually opened up to about second. So some issues there for Stelter, but hopefully be able to recover. Just coming up to 21 minutes and 35 seconds elapsed. So just over half the race to go. Inclusive of a pit stop. So see what he can do in that remaining time.
Absolutely, and we just dropped back here to 15th and 16th with Norsk and Elmany, just having another little scrap for the minor places. Porsche and Ferrari going at it. Both cars looking pretty good as we get a good onboard shot. You can see how aggressive Alex is at the moment. Might just have a watch down the back straight to see how quick this Ferrari can get its legs up. I think we sort of top speed there about 2:45, so the Ferrari pretty quick in a straight line, wasn't quite able to close the gap, but you can see that Porsche of Noski a little bit unsettled getting up over the curves into the final corner there, but able to extend the gap again on.
Yeah, typically we've seen in previous races that the Ferrari was very, very quick in a straight line, but looked as though that Almany was not able to get the run, so he had to back out of it to not force the two-wide issue, which would have cost them even more time. So it's probably a lot more sensible for Almany to fall back in line. Having said that though, Nosek not getting the best of runs through that turn 4 and 5 section, heading up to turn 6 now. Gap still hovering around 0.3 of a second, but that Porsche is certainly suited well to these twisty sections as they're heading up to
Absolutely.
up to the hairpin now.
Yeah, definitely, and I mean we saw that in the 24 hours of the Nurburgring just run on the weekend, just how strong the Porsches were in that race as well. So certainly a track well suited to him. Maybe surprised we don't see him quite as far up the order as we're seeing with the likes of say the BMW, but all in all, they're still putting in a very good performance.
Yeah, certainly. Just going to give you a bit of a rundown of the current top 5 in each class at the moment. So we've only got 3 Daytona prototypes out there tonight, so we'll run through the entire class for that category. So Simon Mazomo currently leading with a 12-second gap over Masatoshi Saito, and then a further 3.2 seconds behind Saito's Sebastian Teixeira. I know that he's been a series regular over the past couple of seasons over various cars, so good to see him back as always. In the GTE category, we've got Carl Jensen for Core Sim Racing, currently leading the GTE field at the moment. We've got Antti Soho and Marty Sipola for Glacier Racing. Currently running at the podium in that category, we've got Daniel Benefield for Positive Sim Racing in 4th position in class, and we've got Ruben Bonga running at the top 5, currently sitting 8th overall. In GT3, we've got Arthur Nasi at the moment, currently sitting P19th overall, but briefly leading in the GT3 category. Paquito Torres in the Audi in 2nd, Marcel Stelter in the 3rd position, Lando Potter in 4th position, and Vlad Pavlov running at the top 5 in GT3.
Yeah, we just caught Pavlov there, saw him running very wide with some GT3 category cars moving their way through. So not too sure what happened there, but that really has opened up that gap over himself and DePotter quite a lot now. That's outwards of nearly 23 seconds. So there's quite a big gap, but still a good fight further up with Marinsky. And is that Bernick? Just behind in the Porsche there, so good little scrap here. These guys are fighting over 10th and 11th, outright in 7th and 8th in class.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that mistake from DePotter has allowed Berenic to close up on the back of Marinsky. The Orion car putting all sorts of pressure on Marinsky, but I don't think he will have the cut back through turn 5. Certainly going to have the run on the exit, but Marinsky going very defensive. But yeah, this is a good little battle for, as you say, the 7th and 8th position in class.
Yeah, definitely. Marinsky still just walks that car over about a half a width just to keep that position. Dives in very, very early into the Dunlop chicane there. Gets a nice drive out, a little bit of dirt there, but car's placement very nice at the moment as they get up here through the Michael Schumacher S on their way up to the Kimo curves, turn 11. And looks like both cars very evenly matched at this point in time. They're able to really get the nose in on the corners, which is what you want to see. And this run down the straight, the kink on the back straight here will be very interesting to see just how much Bernick can close up in that Porsche.
Yeah, as you see that he's, I don't know whether he's actually lifted through that little kick there, but he's closed right up to the back of Berenic. Oh, sorry, into the back of Marinsky, but still gap holding at 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, you can just see with the exit out of that final turn 16, the Porsche very, very good. Marinsky goes very defensive down here into turn 1 and going to try and hold him out on the outside, which may not leave him up in the best move, as does open the door for the crisscross, which is what we see Bernick trying to do now, but really can't make a pass here on the outside through the Mercedes.
Yeah, absolutely. See that Almany and Nosek has still got a battle between those two drivers. As I say, that must have had a small mistake from Almany, as the gap hovered around a second, but it's closed back up to about half a second to 0.6. Clint Smith has decided to dive into the pit lane, so he is the first to blink for the GTE category at this time. Also, Mizoma's decided to dive into the pit lane as well. So overall leader into the pits.
Yeah, we saw Mizomo getting quite a nice gap, so it'll be interesting to see whether Saito and Texia do follow him in. I'm expecting that we might see those guys go a little further on in the race, which appears they have done now. And the battle's still heating up between those two. It's only 0.8 of a second between Texia and Saito, so those two still working their way through traffic and looking pretty close and competitive to each other. Lap times last time by for both drivers. Actually, we saw Texia at 147.9 versus Masato in a 149.4. So a little bit of a gap, but more than likely that would have been the difference in traffic.
Yeah, certainly. Just going to quickly look where Mizomo has come out. And he has come out between Benefield and Bonga in the 6th and 8th position. So Mizomo resumes in 7th overall at the moment. So that's handy information with 44-second transit time through the pit lane with a 15-second stop. So I think that looks as though it's a little bit more fuel than normal. So it must be a pretty high fuel burn circuit as is Nurburgring. So we just need to see how the other fuel strategies will play out and see that Clint Smith has taken a 7 seconds pit stop as well with a 35-second transit time. So a little bit on the low side, but we'll see whether he's able to make it to the end of the race in that Ferrari as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we keep an eye on that, it looks like we've still got those two battles with Marinsky and Bernick, and Noski and Elman still firing up. Elman and Noski probably the closest one here, 0.3 of a second as they make their way down towards the hairpin at the moment. There's not really much you can throw over these two cars. They do have a bit of lap traffic just in behind and a couple of cars ahead, but not doing too bad a job, these guys. The racing for them has been quite good.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to see whether Almany decides to go for the undercut, given that we're coming up to the fuel window for the GTEs. Saito, Janssen, Toho, Sipala, Benefield haven't decided to pit just yet, so currently on lap number 18 for the leaders. Hensel into the pit lane. And Almany and Nosek decide to carry on, so it looks as though they're going to go around for another lap at least. See that Mizomo's decided to set purple sectors throughout this lap as well, so he'll be on a quick one.
Yeah, definitely. I think having just come out of that stop, probably rebalance the car with a bit of fuel. We've got him working his way past Daniel Benefield right now in the Ferrari, so this will be a pretty quickly done and dusted affair. I don't think there'll be too much fight from Benefield here. Not really anything that he needs to worry about with being a different class at all. So Mizomo will still probably play it a little bit safe as you see him just back off into turn 11 there, and should be able to use the power of the Daytona prototype down the back kink here to get that job done.
Yeah, we'll just see whether Mizomo decides to go for the overtake, and he certainly will. So that's going to promote him back up into the top 5 overall. Saito has decided to take to the pit lane as well, so Mizomo will re-inherit the lead once the GTE cars in front of him, of Janssen, Toho and Sipala, take to the pit lane.
Yeah, and at 33 minutes down into the race, you'd expect it won't be too far off for either of these guys. We've just got Carl Jensen up on camera at the moment in the Core Autosports BMW, doing a really good job. Hasn't really put a foot wrong. The lap times for him have been very, very consistent, which you'd expect from a driver of Carl's caliber. Last time by 148.9, and he was actually the quickest GT3 car out on circuit as well. So Tahiro was a 149.2, so about 0.3 of a second on average speed differential between those guys at the moment, and he's able to really extend that gap out further.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly not sure if Core Motorsports is around, but I know that Core Sim Racing, as I know that there was a bit of a confusion with the two teams coexisting at the same time, so for those that are in the chat, I know that Josh Thompson and Sindro Satsas is in the chat as well. Be able to hopefully point us in the right direction with that information. I know that Sindro was able to give me information on the second and third place drivers being from Glacier, so thankfully I was able to correct that. But yeah, Jensen into the pit lane as well, so we'll see whether Terho, yep, he's into the pit lane as well. Sipple into the pit lane as well, so the top 3 are in. Also,
Yeah, I think that's probably getting about to the right window for those actual top 4 cars to come in for their stop. We might quickly need to jump back to just to have a look at Marinsky and Bernick as well. Those guys still haven't really been escaping each other at all. Down to 0.3 of a second through the chicane, and both of these guys actually diving in for pits as well, so both being covered off on their stops. Looks like everyone now who hasn't pitted is really coming in for their late runs now.
Yeah, I certainly didn't expect it to have a Mid-Ohio type fuel burn, but yeah, to go 35 minutes is a true testament to the guys' ability to eke the fuel tank out. So certainly longer than I expected for those drivers. But having said that though, got a little battle forming up here. Swainpole and Grosh at the moment for 4th and 5th place in GT3 at the moment. Looks as though
we haven't really seen these. I was going to say we hadn't really seen these guys much at all tonight, and still very, very close together for both of those 2 cars.
Yeah, it looks as though that Grosh was able to get past Swainpole within the space of this lap, as the numbers will update on the top left of the cars. So it looks as though that Swainpole potentially had a mistake somewhere that unfortunately we missed, but yeah, it looks as though that Grosh is able to open up a half a second lead already within the space of these first 3 corners. 1 minute 57.1 for Grosh last time around. Swainpole 1 minute 58.5, so yeah, potentially a mistake there from Swainpole was allowed Grosh to get through, and certainly that's cost him quite dearly. Still stays within the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I would point out, maybe the difference in lines there through turn 1, you saw Swainpole take a very shallow entry and tried to really cut the corner back, which did allow that gap to Grosh there to open up. So may not be really running the car out to the full potential or flowing the speed as much as he needs to keep it up, but he's certainly been able to recover a lot of that gap through the middle portion of this lap.
Just seen on our timing screens as well that Brunic has been able to get past Marinsky. And just coming up into turn 11 right now. And yeah, Marinsky's just 1 too deep. And that's allowed Brunic to go through. So pressure finally paid off for Brunic, and he finds himself in the 7th position in class. And also finds himself in the top 10 overall. So good move for Brunic to finally jump in another position, but yeah, Marinsky's into the pit lane as well, so not sure whether that was a speeding penalty that gave him a black flag or anything like that, but to say that Brunic is just trying to make through the GT3 traffic as well, so
yeah, that's an odd one from Marinsky, because he had his stop just a lap prior to that as well. Both him and Bernick came in on the same lap, and a bit weird to see him going in. We got an Audi just going very slowly out on the outside there and letting Hogarth and Marinsky go through as they continue their battle. These two now scrapping it over 6th and 7th outright, and getting up there pretty quickly. Although, where has Marinsky gone now that we've gone back to live video?
actually, yeah, I actually cut away just as they were going to show the overtake again, so it looks as though that Hartog had a spin through that, was it turn 6? Left-hander there, and yeah, sadly that has dropped him a position into 7th in class, 10th overall. But yeah,
Yeah, that's not what he's going to want either to see at the end of the race. He was put on a really good show there, sitting up in 6th place. He'd been up there for quite a while, but now we've got Borinsky back in the lane for another stop. It's very awkward or weird what's going on with these guys at the moment.
Yeah, it looks as though they may have got a penalty at some point. Not sure how, but usually with the off-tracks it'll usually kick you out of the server. Must have been a speeding penalty on the exit if that was anything, because if it was on the entry it would have served it already. So
yeah, absolutely. But it looks like he's been able to rejoin down in 12th in class, so may not have been as much an incident penalty, potentially speeding, as you say, but looks like he will get back in and fight. But Michael Grosh got his handful with Maren Helson for this little fight here, and these guys are scrapping over 7th and 8th now.
yeah, absolutely. You'll see that Tixia and Saito are still pretty much together, just under, just gap under a second now. So, but yeah, we'll see whether Saito will be able to close up that little battle as well for the 2nd and 3rd position overall. Also, we got Brainich trying to get past Almany as well. That gap is around 4/10 at the moment, so relatively similar gap to this battle we have on screen with Goth and Hansel.
Absolutely. And is there another little one with Almany and Bernick as well? Bernick, as we saw, having make his 2nd stop and now get back underway, so he finds himself behind Almany again, and they do have another Porsche just up the road from these guys as well, and Noski as well. So these guys are a long way back on where they were earlier in the piece. They're down in 12th now for Bernick as well, so he's got a lot of work to do to get past these 3 cars ahead of him.
Yeah, effectively, Bernic would have been sitting in about 6th position had he not gotten that 2nd penalty. Well, that penalty that forced him down the pit lane a 2nd time, but Bernic going in for the move on the inside gets the job done. So good move for Bernic to jump up back into 11th place in class. Gap at the moment to the next position is only 7/10, and that is the driver of Nosek.
Yeah, so we'll get a good little scrap here with a couple of Porsches now fighting to get back through. Bernick's probably going to be a bit of a have the red mist in the eyes a little bit now after that 2nd pit stop and want to get this pass done as quick as he can on Nosek. So keep an eye here just on the gearbox cam, and Nosek going down in towards the hairpin. Borinsky able to come in very late on the gas on the pedal there and gets a great drive out. He closes a long way up under brakes there.
Yeah, I've just seen on the timing screen that potentially there's been a crash with Toho, but it looks as though he's gotten up and going again. So whether that was just a timing error. Currently gap sitting at about 1.8 seconds between Toho and Janssen, the class leader. But having said that,
yeah, it looks like. No, sorry, you go ahead, Scott.
No, I was just saying, yeah, this battle still raging on. Branic sitting within 3/10. Nosek going a little bit wide, then it'll open the door for Branic to get up on the inside. You're going to go too wide into the first corner. Yeah, Branic got the overrun, but that'll pretty much be sealed and delivered for Branic to move up into the top 10 in class.
Yeah, just ahead of him now, he'll have Wilson. So I don't think he'll have the run to close down that 11 seconds or 14 seconds up the road, but he will get himself just on the outside here of a top 10. There is a couple other little battles, Helson and Gloth still going on for their little fight. That's down at 0.3 of a second as well. So a few guys still scrapping their way up, but we've got Simon Mazzomo up on screen here, led basically from start to finish with the exception of the pit stops, and really hasn't put a foot wrong this whole lap, or whole race, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just got 30 seconds left on the clock now, so this will be the final lap of the race. Currently on lap number 25, so... Yeah, as you say, yeah, Simon hasn't put a foot wrong. Certainly put the hammer down when he needed to. Last lap time of 47.4, best lap time of a 46.5, so certainly been the class of the field in the Daytona prototypes. Currently got a 17-second lead over Tixa and Saito. So yeah, just looking to see where all the relative class leaders are at the moment. So Jansen's behind Mazzomo at the moment, and Nasi is about to start his final lap. So yeah, I'll let you call the final corner.
Yeah, well, Mazzomo brings the Daytona prototype in for that final run across the start-finish line there, lights ablaze, and he's done a great job. As you say, basically start to finish lead, a best lap time in the race of 1:46.5, and overall about a 1:47. And we got second and third with Texia and Saito coming across the line. So that'll be our Daytona class cars all done and won. So that's a great drive from them. Carl Jensen up on screen here. Got a couple of cars ahead of him, but shouldn't be an issue. And great drive from Carl in the core motorsports car there. Done a great job, led start to finish. And then behind him, we've got Ante Tiro and Mattia Spatilla coming home. So not a bad run for the two Glacier cars there. And Arthur Nazi just coming through the kink up towards the end of the lap for his final run home. So another pretty well unimpeded run for him again in this race. So great drive from him there, and he'll bring the Mercedes AMG across the line first in the GT3 class. See him on the exit here now, and that's a great win for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations to Arthur Nasi to take out the GT3 category tonight. You got Michael Goth and Marian Hensel battle raging on, trying to go around the final corner, but it looks as though that Michael Goth is able to hold on. Gap at the end of that was 0.23 of a second, so very, very close there between those two. So it's good to see them getting across the line in one piece. And yeah, Marinsky, after his trials and tribulations, was able to come across the line in the 12th position in class, 14th overall. Looks as though that he was the biggest move of the day, but also Baranich was able to recover. Sadly finished, I think it was 7 seconds behind Harmony at the end there. So still got I think a couple more cars coming across the line, or it looks as though that pretty much everyone has come across the line. So yeah, so that will pretty much conclude round number 3 of the IMSA Sportscar Championship. Going to take you through the final race results for tonight's race. Simon Mazzomo takes the win for FT1 Motorsports. Finishes with a comfortable win, 17 seconds over Sebastian Tixa and Masatoshi Saito. That will round out the Daytona prototype field. Carl Jansen finishes in the GTE class win, and congratulations to him. Finishes 4th overall. Antti Toho, Matti Sipila in the Glacier Racing cars that will round out the podium for GTE. Daniel Benefield for Positive Sim Racing. Ruben Bonga, Loic Hartog, Michael Goth rounding out the top 10 overall. Marian Hensel and James Wilson in the 11th and 12th position. Jan Nosek and Anna Marinsky, Alex Almany, Romano Berenic, Hayden Benefield, Clint Smith. Rounding out the top 18, Arthur Nasi in 19th, and crucially in the GT3 class win. Paquito Torres in the 20th position overall, but second in class, and Vlad Pavlov recovering to finish third in class as well. So that will round out the GT3 category podium. Jacques Swainpole, 22nd. Jan Eik Zanders in the 23rd position. Max Bolk, Lasse Grosch, Adam Simpson, James Clayton. It looks as though that we're into the retirees now. Marcel Stelter, Lando De Potter, Aitor Medea Villa, Mitch McLeod, Marco Keller, Louis Delatrez, Milos Ivanovic, and Alexei Seleznev, rounding out the field of 35 cars.
Yeah, I think we saw some fantastic racing with all the drivers out there tonight. Some close battles and a few probably frustrations with some of the penalties that some drivers, unfortunately got as a result of incidents. But all in all, I think we saw some very, very competitive racing from all three.
Yeah, absolutely. Just posted the Discord link for any of the drivers that want to join us in the commentary box for a driver interview as well. But yeah, as you said, with the race today, I think it actually coincides with the VRSGT World Championship race as well. So I think that will be coming up this weekend, Saturday 13 GMT, for 3 hours of the Nurburgring. So that should be pretty entertaining to watch. It's obviously good to see some more championship drivers here tonight as well, in Carl Janssen and Antti Terho. I think also Matti Sipolo as well might have been a world championship driver, but no, he wasn't. So yeah, it was just Antti Terho and Carl Janssen representing that series tonight. It's good to see them get some practice in for that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's nothing really you can't say enough about being able to get out and run the setups, and the ability to have race conditions like that certainly helps out for it. Looks like we've got Carl Janssen jumped in for an interview, so we might grab him up and have a bit of a chat with himself over the win GT. G'day, Carl. Congratulations on the race win tonight here at Nurburgring, mate. Very dominant display from yourself. Love to get your thoughts on how you found the race and how the car went over the course of the 45 minutes.
Well, it was a good race, very good race. It was good competition from Antti and Matti. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. There was some really insane traffic out there today. But all in all, it was a very fun race, to be honest.
Yeah, it looked like a couple of points we did notice some of the cars maybe not getting out of the way as much as we would have thought in a few spots, but you guys look to be pretty dominant with what you saw, and it looks like yourself and the guys from Glacier had a really good run at the opening start of the race, and you were able to sort of have maybe a little bit more speed and get that gap towards the midpoint and carry it through to the.
Yeah, we the start of the run was actually very good. I couldn't really break away from Antti for the first 3 laps or so, I think. But then I don't know what it was. I think it was more setup than driving. Through Mercedes arena. That was basically where I gained all the time on Antti, and in the rest of the track we were pretty equal. So I was able to break away and then managed to take the win.
No, it was great to have you. Scott, did you have any questions you want to pose to Carl as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, certainly. Congratulations to Carl on a dominant win tonight. Certainly class of the field in GTE. Also with Antti for Glacier Racing, certainly putting the fight to him. But yeah, as we head next week for round number 4 at Mosport, will we be likely to see you there, or will it be a week off for yourself?
It depends a little bit on how work goes. Today it was an off day, so depends if I get off day on Tuesdays from now on. But hopefully I do, because I really enjoy these broadcast races. It's fun to have a little bit of a race with people you usually don't race since it's such early. But yeah, it's always fun to have a broadcast race as well. Brings a little bit more people into the races.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, if we don't happen to see you next week, Carl, we wish you all the best. But yeah, just before we let you go, is there anyone that you would like to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank the whole team at Core Sim Racing. Amazing team. And then also Janne for helping me with spotting in this race.
No worries then. So, yeah, thanks very much for that, Carl, and I certainly hope to see you over the coming rounds of the IMSA Sportscar Championship, and we wish you all the best.
Yep, thank you.
And yeah, that was Carl Jansen, GTE winner, and yeah, we've got the overall winner tonight, Simon Mazzomo. So we'll bring him up for a chat, and I'll hand it over to you, Dan.
G'day, Simon. Welcome up to the commentary box, mate. Congratulations on the race win tonight, overall in the Daytona Prototype, and yeah, looked like a very, very commanding win for yourself out there. How'd you
Pretty good. It's sort of just jumping in with the setup at the last second. Only just sort of practiced with it today, so I wasn't quite sure how it was going to go over a race distance. But no, felt pretty good. Very took tyres in that stop, which I don't think the other two guys did, and that just made a huge difference. Was very comfortable towards the end, so yeah, it was lots of fun. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, we noticed after your pit stop, within I think it was a lap or two after that, you seemed to be setting purple sectors across the board. So tyres there look to have done the part. But for those who don't know, you're probably very different driving the Daytona Prototype to the V8s. How'd you find this?
Very, very different. Actually, don't. Yeah, well, actually, no, because I did do the V8s a couple of weeks ago at Bathurst. Yeah, very, very different. I've sort of only recently started racing them. I've been doing the LMP1 cars for the last couple of months, but I've recently started playing with this car and the HPD, and I'm actually finding I enjoy them a bit more. They're sort of a bit more on edge, especially this car. It tends to want to sort of slide off the corner. Even for a high downforce car, it tends to want to sort of slide off the corner. So you've got to sort of be a bit more careful with it. But overall, yeah, I'm enjoying them at the moment. So definitely going to keep going with it.
Fantastic. It would be great to see you out on track for a few more rounds. Would we like you to potentially see that?
Yeah, no, I'm committed to keep doing the softs for the rest of the season. Like I only missed out. I was going to do last week, but something came up, so unfortunately I couldn't get to that one. But yeah, pending that nothing major comes up, yeah, I'll be here for the rest of the softs for the season.
Fantastic, mate. It would be great to have you out on track. Certainly good to see you taking up the Daytona Prototype. I think not a car that gets as much love as we would like to see, or probably it deserves. But all the best for that. But before we let you go, is there anyone you wanted to thank?
Well, I have a big shout out to Craig Setup Shop because that's where I got the setup from. So thanks, Craig. That was awesome setup you got going there. But yeah, just thank the team as well. They were obviously out on track tonight. I had Jimmy and Hayden, so kept me entertained for the race. So thanks to them, and big thanks to you guys for broadcasting as well. So hopefully, yeah, we get some more DPs coming back, and yeah, big thanks to you guys for broadcasting it.
Yeah, no worries. Well, thanks again, Simon. Congratulations again on not only the class win for the Daytona Prototypes, but the overall race win tonight. And look forward to seeing you back out on track again, potentially.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
And that was Simon Mazzomo, the race winner for tonight here at the Nurburgring. And it looks like we had the upcoming schedule on screen at the moment. Scott, where are we off to for the next?
Yeah, so round number 4 of the IMSA Sportscar Championship. For season 3, we head to Mosport, so quite a technical track, but fast and flying. So it'll be good to see how the classes will fare next week. I know that we had the Porsche Esports Super Cup there a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, it was fairly difficult to overtake. But yeah, with the varying classes out there next week, should be a bit of a different story, I think, with the drafting situation as well. So, but yeah, we'll happen to find out next week how that will fare. But yeah, certainly looking forward to next week. And yeah, what are your thoughts, Dan, heading into that one?
Yeah, I think if anything, it'll probably give us a little bit more of a race like we saw at Mid Ohio last season. Very short average lap time around there, and with the three classes out on track, certainly going to be very interesting. I think a couple of very tricky corners that are likely to catch the guys off a bit, especially. There is a chance for that in the Daytona prototype with that car, not having ABS brakes, and similarly for the GTE. So, be interesting to see how the guys go. But I think, yeah, very different mentality setup wise to what the guys have done so far out on circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we go, I'm just going to quickly run through the upcoming broadcasts we've got here on Apex Racing TV. So later tonight at 8 GMT, we have the iRacing VRS GT Sprint Championship for round number 3 at Donington for 40 minutes of action in that category. Then a little bit later on at 19:15 GMT, we've got the BSI MX5 Pro Series for round number 15 at Sonoma. It's quite a difficult track, but certainly one of those series that puts on quite a lot of action, so that would be great to watch. Wednesday, we have the Dynamic Sim Racers World GT Series for round number 10 at Mosport. So where we're heading next week for the IMSA Sportscar Championship, we'll be going there tomorrow night. I think that's in the GT3 category, if I'm not mistaken. It's either GT3 or GTE. Then on Thursday night, we've got the BSI Pro Series in the Kia for round number 10 at Alton Park. As always, the Kias have always put on some great racing over the years, and it's always good to see that's still going strong. And then on Saturday, we have round number 2 of the Sim Racers Asia Formula 3 Championship, which we'll be heading to. I can't remember the circuit off the top of my head at the moment, but I should be able to bring that up to you in a second. Apologies for that. But that will be heading to Zandvoort, so quite a technical track, but yeah, certainly one that provides lots of action, lots of overtaking, so that will be certainly one to watch. I might be competing in that, if not certain, I'll be streaming it, certainly if I'm not competing in it myself, but and then also we've got the Euro V8 Supercars Media Day, so that would be just round number 0 at Sebring. But then on Monday night, we have the BSR MX5 Monday Cup for round number 4 at Map Panorama. So it'll be quite entertaining to watch as well. Map Panorama, lots of action as always on that track. And then the Ritmatech Sportscar Championship for round number 5 at Belle Isle. That will be at 1:15 AM GMT. +1, so BST, sorry, so 12:15 AM GMT. And then we'll be back for round number 4 of the IMSA Sportscar Championship at round number 4 at Mosport. So quite a lot of action coming up on Apex Racing TV over the coming week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of there for really whatever your flavour of car is. Certainly a lot going on, and a lot of diversity between the IMSA stuff tonight, the Formula 3, the MX5s, and the like. So certainly some good viewing for.
Yeah, absolutely. But, just as I try and refresh the overlay, that will pretty much wrap it up for tonight's broadcast here for the IMSA Sportscar Championship here on iRacing for round number 3 of the championship at the Nurburgring WEC configuration. So yeah, thanks very much as always, Dan, for coming in and commentating as always. Certainly hoping to have you back as always next week.
Definitely, I'll be there for sure, mate. Not a worry there.
No worries then. So thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. This has been round number 3 of the IMSA Sportscar Championship here at the Nurburgring. My name is Scott Newton, and certainly hope to see you for a broadcast on Apex Racing TV, or back next week for the running before the IMSA Sportscar Championship at Mosport. So thanks you very much, and certainly hope to see you next week, and we wish you all the best.